What's up, everyone? It's Odin here. It's Tuesday night, February the 18th. I thought I'd make a little video. I have a few things to talk about. Mainly, though, I'm going to get to a post by an old friend. I consider him a friend. We haven't talked in a long time, but last time we hung out or talked, it was amicable. So I still consider him a friend. My old friend, Admiral Wackass, had this glorious tweet earlier today, and I'm going to touch on that. Um, Working on this page for Kill Them Dead, which you know we we launched this campaign a while back, and after it was a little presumptuous of us to launch it, but once we realized how much work was involved, how long it was going to take, we did what we thought was an ethical thing, which is refund all the money from the campaign, go back, do our work, and relaunch it once we're closer to completion. But I'm always working on it, and I'm excited for it. But we thought that was the ethical thing to do, and that's along the lines of what I might rant about a little later. Right now, enjoying my Boilermaker, which I've been enjoying quite often this evening, as I've been mostly snowed in. It's a lot of snow for this area, which is rare. So rare, in fact. When I moved here, when I moved here a little over a year ago, I got rid of so much of my shit from where I was moving. Amongst those things were snow shovels. I had several, and I got rid of them because there was a lot of shit I just didn't think I would need. Move out here, and we get this big snowstorm, and just a few days ago, I was in a meeting to end my day with a bunch of people talking about some projects we're working on. And as the meeting ended, my manager we were just talking, and he said, "Good luck trying to find a snow shovel. My wife is out looking for one." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Surely that's a hyperbole. I'll find one." And I went to several stores, and they were all sold out. So it was not hyperbole. And I had to buy like a square head shovel, like a normal square head shovel. Luckily, it was long handle, but still, there's only so much surface area to. So it was a pain in the ass. I've been shoveling all day, and to end my day, I started drinking these Boilermakers. I saw this post from Admiral Wackass, and I thought I wanted to make my own commentary, piggybacking on what he was saying. But to you, Admiral Wackass, my friend that I haven't talked to in a long time. Cheers, skull, nostravai, however you want to salute. And I'll pour myself another one here, and I'll show you what we're drinking. Um, so this post that Admiral Wackass posted on Twitter was actually a quote tweet. Somebody else had clipped what we know of as the Comic Book Kings show. I think that was the show. And so, backstory, if you don't know anything about Comicsgate or anything about Comicsgate Kings, I just say Comic Book Kings, Comicsgate Kings, whatever. It's very irrelevant. So, if I call it Comic Book Kings, it's because it's pretty irrelevant anyway. Comicsgate Kings. So there was a time when there was this movement, we'll call it, called Comicsgate. Apparently, it's still going on. And a lot of the original bigger names within this movement were disgruntled former mainstream comic book employees. And quite often, as the story goes, they were pushed aside or canceled or talked shit about because of their conservative political leanings. What had happened was a group, a large group actually of disenchanted comic book fans. Quite, a lot of them probably having similar conservative political leanings. Uh, Started following a few of these creators as they started crowdfunding their own independent comic books. And they built up, some of them built up quite big audiences, and with those audiences did very well in the independent comic books field and in the crowdfunding comic books field. Now, within the wellspring of that community came a lot of other people who said, I've always wanted to make a comic book. I would be, I guess, amongst those. Um, and there was a feeling of excitement in the air because you had a large group of, like I said, mostly disenchanted with mainstream comic books fans, excited about new properties, new IPs, new ideas that were being created in this Comicsgate realm. Now, when I first heard about it, I started watching, it was just suggested to me on YouTube, and it was Ethan Van Sciver. And he's a very charismatic individual, and he was making these videos and saying a lot of what a lot of people were thinking. And I found him very funny. I found him very engaging and, like I said, very charismatic. And it was exciting. And it was exciting to see other people stepping in and making their own IPs and coming out with them. And my whole life I've been drawing and I've been writing and always wanted to make comic books. So it seemed like the time was ripe. This is like right on the heels of COVID and all this shit. And a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands. And so a lot of people just started making comics. A lot of them under this banner. Now, I'm somebody, I've never been a joiner. I don't like labels. I don't like movements. I don't like being a part of a group think, ever. I'm a very independent-minded person. But there was a feeling of independence in the early days that really appealed to me. And so I went, the time is right. I want to make something, and I really just want to put my head down and fucking create something finally. My whole life people are like, why don't you make comic books? And I'm like, I don't know. I've got a life to live. I've got to feed my kids. I've got to do whatever. I was a musician for a long time, and that was, that hobby took way too much time for me to ever work on anything else. But that had been in the past, so I was like, now's the time. It's the time. It makes sense. And so I started working on shit and started trying to immerse myself in this collection of people and get to know people and build good faith because I was going to release a product. And over time, I met lots of really cool people, some that I still have great amount of respect for, all because of this movement. So it wasn't a bad thing. What's bad about it now is it's been so tainted. So these people who are just kind of pushed out by the mainstream comics, they have very talented people because they're working in the industry. They're talented, and again, some of them have very charismatic personalities. They had built a successful avenue through YouTube to market their product and also be engaging with their fans, and it was a great model, and it worked for several people. But somewhere along the line, it turned from creating cool comics, which is more on the periphery of what the goal is, to being shit talkers and shit posters, and I can't remember the fucking term. They use it for people like Russell Brand, and what was that? The guy? Provocateur, that's the one. Provocateur. You know, you're just stirring up shit because it's good content and it gets people excited and people talking, um, and I can't totally blame somebody for going that avenue because it's more lucrative, right? But as that started happening, it was right at the beginning of when I was becoming immersed and excited about all this. I started seeing it everywhere that this provocateur mentality was way more important than the product that anybody was creating. And again, I went, fair enough, whatever. I'm gonna just create my thing and hope for the best. Um, but what it's really lately devolved to is you're either in or you're out, which I hate that kind of mindset. I loathe that kind of mindset because I'll always be out. Always. Once somebody says, "Are you with me or are you against me?" I'm like, well, I'm fairly neutral, but if you're going to put me on the spot, I'm always going to be against you because I don't like being put on the spot. I don't like being forced to be part of a group think. Um, and once that happened, then there became this like shift. And once the shift really took off, it was if you're not with the group, then the group has free reign to pull out their bows, take aim, and fucking fire on you. And so there became this thing called EFAPing, which is it's old news now. It's been around for a long time, but where you take somebody else's video and you put it on yours and you dissect it and you talk shit about it. Fairly easy content. It can be fun, but what had happened more and more was creators that we're on the outs with, we're going to EFAP their videos, pick them apart, which is really easy because they're not there to defend themselves. You're just basically taking pot shots at them and talk shit about them. So a group of fairly successful with a pretty big audience, a group of people can take somebody else's video, oftentimes punching down because they usually have smaller views. Not always, but sometimes they're punching down, sometimes they're punching up, and just rip it apart and talk shit about it. Now, what's interesting to me is like when I first got into this, I've been on shit shows and they were fun. It was a lot of fun actually. Just talking shit, hanging out like a bunch of people, like a bunch of dudes do usually, and we did that back when I was on 80s Make Consumer back in the day, and then we did Saturday Night Leap for a long time, and we were a shit show. We loved talking shit. We loved, being offensive and everything. But one thing, especially on Saturday Night Leap, that we never wanted to do was talk shit about other creators, especially smaller creators, because there's a certain amount of common respect that you give to somebody who pours their heart and soul into something. Whether you like it, whether you like the person, really doesn't matter. There's a certain common respect that you give to somebody who pours their heart and soul into a project, sees it to completion, and puts it out there. And that's why I would never, what Admiral Wacka's post said was glorious and great and needed to be said. Even the harsher things, I was like, you know what? Like, it's deserved. But I find myself hard pressed to say some of those things because I feel it's weird to talk shit about other people like doing the same thing. I was a local musician trying to make it big, and we had like a friendly rivalries with other local musicians. And even if I thought their music was shit, I didn't want to like tell my fans, don't listen to them because they're shit. It seemed so petty. It seemed childish. It seemed fucking. Well, it seemed like you had a really fragile ego. And it's kind of like talking shit about an ex, you know, like if you get in a new relationship, you know, it's a bad look to just sit there and be like, well, your ex was a real piece of shit, wasn't he? You know, you don't need to do that. Especially if you're confident in your own product, you don't have to fucking talk shit about other people. And so I was just blown away that it kind of like took that turn to where that's what it became. Because the problem with that is exactly what they were complaining about the mainstream comic book industry doing to them, and now in turn doing it to other people. So right as I put out my shingle that I'm making independent comic books, I start feeling and seeing these things, and I start seeing that there's weird agendas, there's weird fucking what they call gay ops, you know, like weird shit going on behind the scenes, and who likes who and who's gonna talk shit about who. And I went, you guys are fucking petulant children in adult bodies. What the fuck is going on here? You know, and I mean, to this day, I just want to make cool shit and have, you know, however many people like it. Even if 10 people like it, I'm just like blown away. I just want to make cool shit that people like. And I started realizing that this fucking like Mean Girls fucking childish. It's just the most insane. Like I said, petulant fucking children masquerading as grown men. It's fucking sad and pathetic. And so while I had made some relationships that I value, there was a bigger problem, and I had to like shrink back and kind of be like, I'm not part of this fucking world, you know? Like, whatever you guys have and your weirdo vendettas and your weird, like, oh, we've got to, like, take shots at this person. We got to shoot them down. We've got to fuck their life up. Like, who the fuck does that? You know, again, petulant children masquerading as adult men and, or women sometimes. Very few women. But speaking of women, there was, two women, Irene and Allie, on their show talking about whatever, and for whatever reason, the Comicsgate Kings, which that term means nothing to anybody anymore, but it used to be the people in Comicsgate who used to work in the industry, the mainstream comics industry, decided to EFAP their, you know, fairly small audience, modest audience, but loyal, show, just to talk shit about them for no fucking reason except for that they have some weirdo vendetta against them. They're on the outs, and if you're on the outside of the cult, it's fair for everyone within the cult to destroy you. So these sick motherfuckers do that shit. They do that shit to a lot of, you know, creators, and blows my mind. I mean, they could totally do that. EFAP this fucking video, talk shit about me. I don't give a fuck. But the other reality is, like, none of those fuckers know me. If I ever, you know, there's not one of them that I'd be scared to see in an alley. You know, like, you'd get fucked up so bad. But there's this mindset that the veil of the internet keeps you safe. So they can do this kind of shit without any kind of consequence. The consequence has to come from people saying, like, enough is enough. That's like fucked up childish behavior. But their sycophants will feed that and pump it and just go along with it because they're part of the cult. So anyway, once I realized that's what was going on, I said, fuck all of that. Even if I lose relationships and friendships over it, I don't give a shit. I am never going to be a part of this kind of weirdo bullshit. So anyway, Admiral Wackass post called him on the carpet for that kind of behavior. Uh, you know, he took a few personal shots, but the thing you have to know about Admiral Wackass, when I first met him, he was really proud and excited about his Cyberfrog collections that he'd bought, the highest tiers and Inglorious Rex, like all these guys that he's just filleting in this tweet. He was 100% one of their biggest backers, one of their biggest fans, and as a man, he's always been a huge supportive person of independent comics. He loved that people were creating these, and he's backed a lot of shit, and he usually backs a very high tier. He always wants to like really show the love and get the best product, and I commend him for it. I think that's awesome. Like I said, excellent dude. I've always thought highly of him, and to see that you had this once, like a super fan, like a big supporter, and now he's just basically like wrote you off because of your childish fucking ridiculous fucking behavior. But he's not the only one, and we're gonna dig your heels in and just fucking keep doing it, and it's just pathetic. The bigger issue is all this behavior, which comes, there's also the element of late books and all that kind of shit. It trickles down onto the periphery, and we get fans who are less likely to back our books because there was once an adjacent association, which that much I don't care about. The late books part where people are gun shy about crowdfunding comics because of late books, that part gets me. Real quick, I'm going to make myself another Boilermaker. Tin Cup whiskey, it's my preferred. And then, what is that? Yingling. I gotta get rid of these. They're not the greatest, but they're not the worst either. And Yingling has a very nice color, if nothing else. Now, I know this, so that's the part that gets me, is that the shit rolls downstream. Now, success rolls downstream, and I get that. There was a lot of people in the early days had no business fucking making comics, made them, and did very well with them for no reason. But people were excited, and you'd built up that excitement. You always hope the cream can rise to the top. And I think what had happened now, and I understand the mentality, is the more periphery independent creators within the sphere, they say, well, we brought you the audience. And there's a fair point to be made there. But the other side of that is you also shit on that audience and made them less likely to take a chance on new things. Now, and it's not just them. There's been plenty of campaigns. I was going through it with my girlfriend the other day. I was like, look at all these. Now, I got a recent batch. There's been kind of a rash of books that were very late, but they arrived. And I was very happy. Some of them really good. And I was so happy to get them. Because I don't care as much about late books if I really believe in the project. But there's several that I was showing her in my contributions on Indiegogo that I'm like, I'm never getting that book, you know? Like Thomas Mariah, I'm like, that's never fucking coming out. Prospectors, that's never fucking coming out. Rocket Magazine, that's never fucking coming out. It was no, not eight. Don't want to misspeak. I can't remember the name of the other one. But anyway, there were several, and I was just like, these guys just took my fucking money and dipped, you know? Fucking thieves. I mean, literal fucking thieves. Now, has it made me gun shy about crowdfunding? Of course. And I can't be the only one. Now, and here I am, like, trying to make a book, trying to make several books, and trying to foster good faith from backers that'll make a product. But are they jaded? Are they gun shy? Of course. Like, we've taken this, they used to call it a consumer fucking movement. It was not a consumer movement. Nobody gave a fuck about their fucking consumers. Like, when I think about, if I had got all this money from this campaign and for whatever reason fell on hard times, I couldn't fulfill it, I would do everything in my fucking power, because it's just right to get everybody their money back or get them their product eventually. So late books doesn't bother me, and this has nothing to do with the Comic Book Teens or Admiral Wackus' post. This is just in general, because while those guys oftentimes have very late books, they usually do eventually make a book. But the ones that are just straight up fucking thieves and just dipped on, you know, why wouldn't somebody be gun shy? Or if the quality is not there, especially like if it's late, I don't mind as long as the quality is good. But there's been a few that I got that were very late, and I'm like, and it's not even very good, you know? Like, I could see taking a long time because you're really wanting the best product. But anyway, cheers to you, Wackas. I liked your post. His post was just eviscerating these guys who were being, these childish, petulant children masquerading as grown men, as I keep saying. And it was needed. It's something a lot of people have said several times over. And Wackass has got his little blue check mark. He's going to pay for that, so he could really fucking pull no punches and just eviscerate. But I believe he has the right. I'm not going to, I'm kind of piggybacking on that, and I'm just ranting about things as a whole. I'm trying not to call out specific names or things like that, but because he backed all those campaigns, like, he has a fucking right to be like, look, I believed in this shit. I was excited about what you were putting out. And now I'm ashamed at what you've become, how far you've devolved. And, again, it has nothing to do with the merit of the books that you're creating. It has everything to do with being a content creator and a provocateur just to get clicks and likes. And again, if you're creating like a sycophantic cult, that's the way to go about it. But if you're trying to create comic books, I don't know if that's the best. But whatever, if it works for you, it works for you. But again, the shit rolls downhill, and we all feel it. And that's why I never took on that moniker. I remember even in the early days, before I was as jaded as I am now about the term Comicscape, I didn't want to be called that. They're like, people were like calling me on the carpet, like, "Are you Comicsgate?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. So the argument from them is basically like, we gave you the audience, but you're not even going to take the name, and you're not going to step in line. And it's like, look, I found a group like myself, like-minded people, disenchanted comic book fans, And yes, they're all kind of like collected around a certain ideal. But you did not bring me my audience. I found them. A lot of them were associated with you. But that doesn't mean you brought them to me. You don't even know who the fuck I am. So you didn't bring me shit. Um, anyway. All that to say, if you're creating things, and that's why I don't want to talk too much shit. If you're creating things, and seeing them to completion, and you're putting your heart and soul into it, there's a common respect that I will give you and say, more power to you. That's awesome. Even if I think you're like a fucking disgusting douchebag, it doesn't really matter. Like, awesome. You made something. You're making things. You're creating things. Good for you. But to pull up in front of your entire audience somebody else and like highlight them and be like, and just talking shit, nasty fucking things too, like it's I keep saying it's petulant children. It's like the type of shit you would expect from third graders at best, kindergartners. Just childish. So grow the fuck up. Be men. Stop being fucking little bitches. I mean, it's bitch made fucking little bitch behavior. Stop being little bitches. And to all those people who like stole money on campaigns, eat a lump of cold shit. Actually, all you guys, eat a lump of cold shit. Eat my cold shit, you motherfuckers. Sons of bitches. Fucking thieves. Fucking thieves and children. Grow the fuck up. I thought this video would be a lot shorter than it is. So I'm going to wrap it up. But if you watch it all, that's fine. But if you have any thoughts, go ahead and share them. I don't give it, like, discourse is good. I love discourse. I love actual discourse. E-fapping other creators just talk shit about them is not discourse. That is, like I said, provocateur, fucking content creator bullshit. But I love talking, counterpoint is fun. It's iron sharpens iron kind of mentality. But the childish fucking shit, that's not iron sharpens iron. That's fucking cult-like behavior. And you should all be ashamed of yourselves. So yeah. Whack ass post, maybe I'll link it down. I don't know. But not that anybody watches my videos, but I have a small but loyal audience, whether it comes to my YouTube channel or my comic books. But I am 100% grateful to anybody who takes their time or takes their money and puts it towards something that I'm doing. It's mind-blowing, I'm just some fucking guy. And I think you're all the best for even believing in anything I do. So with that, I'm going to try to always give you the best I can. And 100% guarantee I'm not going to EFAP other creators just to talk shit about them. Unless they specifically call me out and want to talk shit. Now I can say with certainty that the people they were EFAPing were not doing the same to them. Another guy that I've hung out with a lot or several times in the past was Matt Barr. That guy is a loose cannon with his mouth, and love it or hate it, it's entertaining and everything. But again, it's very similar behavior, and it's like these kind of things spawn themselves. Like once you start talking shit, then other people gotta talk shit. Just break the fucking cycle. Just make your own. Just make your product and sell it. I get it. You probably get more audience by doing this, but I think you alienate a lot of fucking people and really pissed off a whole slew of people who were like Admiral Wackass, probably big supporters at one time. So that's your loss. So go fuck yourselves. Anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, we'll see you.